Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Point 3 podcast. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If not, welcome back. Before we start, really quick, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube. Follow us on our Instagram, our TikTok, everywhere else. Listen to us on wherever you listen to your major platforms or all your podcasting platforms. And we want to hear from you as always. So if you haven't, join our Discord, leave a comment below. We want to talk with you. Today we're talking about Loki Season 2, the finale. If you missed it, you missed it. If you're here, it's because you've probably seen it and it's absolutely fantastic. I know that us three here, your favorite trio of hosts, have not stopped thinking about it. That's why, Lou, Spider-Brando, I have to ask you, having been a few days removed, getting a nice weekend to stew it all in, think about it. What are your thoughts on Loki Season 2?
Spider-Man, I know. Yeah, I was just gonna say, just hit us with it.
Just gonna
throw it up.
Takes me a couple of clicks now.
It's important for everyone watching. It's very important.
Boom. There you go.
Boom. Beautiful. That's all I gotta say. Glorious. Stealing one of your guys' words, but shit was glorious.
I mean, I think for sure, I think all of us have been talking off screen about how, because we're coming off the heels of ranking all the MCU projects. So they're all very fresh in our minds from a consensus standpoint, also in an individual standpoint. Every project speaks to us in a little different way. But I think all of us can kind of look at it and like Spider-Man meme of point of like, you thought it was amazing. You're like, you thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing. It's like, you thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing. Like,
yeah,
it was just epic, glorious, beautiful. Like, this is why patience pays off, why Disney Plus format can succeed, why having characters live beyond what fans deem as their lifespan, character lifespan, can work out. The way that they have told Loki's stories, Loki's Infinity character arc story, and now his season 1, season 2 story, I mean, is a peak. That's like the word that comes to mind is like from an individual standpoint, a peak story that was told. And the way that they pulled things together, go back and listen to our episodes. I'll be the first person to say I was cautiously optimistic about this finale, the final 2 episodes, because I was like, man, I don't know. They could go one of 2 ways. This kind of seems like where Disney Plus shows are like, they're climbing, and it's either they just dive or they just rocket to the moon and beyond. This one rocketed through the moon into the multiverse and just into my heart.
Did this deliver what is arguably top, at least for me, top 5 MCU moment? We're just gonna, again, I don't think we said it, but in case you're here and you're still watching, spoiler warning, because we're gonna just jump into all of it. The ending with Loki becoming the god of stories and just becoming alone and grabbing all the branches of time. I don't know. Again, I ask. For me, it was. Is this a top 5 MCU moment?
Yes.
Here's
tough, but
here's my question for you guys real quick. I am Iron Man snap with the Infinity Gauntlet or Loki pulling and giving life to the multiverse? Which one is top for you? Higher.
Oh, God.
I am Iron Man. No. Oh, wait. Yes. No, the gauntlet. I am Iron
Man. It's invoking the same feelings.
Oh shit!
I can't put one over the other, because in a way it feels wrong to put this over I am Iron Man, but it is invoking the same feeling that I got when I saw it back then.
Yeah, this was nuts. Like the hype during the watch party for this was at a 50 out of 10. I mean, it's a crazy time that I would say it feels okay to compare a Disney Plus show season finale to the one of the greatest movies in the MCU of all time. Like,
Yep.
that's how massive this moment was. And just shout out to Tom Hiddleston. 14 years in the game, 2011 in Thor, went to the Avengers. We get Dark Worlds, we get Ragnarok, we get Infinity War. We've seen the character of Loki in a lot of ways. False death, mischief. I'm an ally, not an ally. Guess what, Thanos? I'm going to try to somehow stab you with a little dagger, and it's not going to work out too well. But the way that they took all that and carried this from season 1 to season 2, and then in season 2 to make you feel like season 1 was just a part of season 2, like we just saw it yesterday. Oh my gosh, it was just masterful. The writing, the way that this looked, the characters, Obi, I'm going to butcher his name, but just like the cast of characters in this. And we didn't even have Sylvie play a massive role, but she played a massive role. This surpassed, I feel like I'm talking about Across the Spider-Verse right now, but this surpassed all expectations that I had in the final 2 episodes. Just blew them away.
It's funny because I remember how, I don't know if disappointed was the word, or I know you said cautiously optimistic about how you were feeling, but it almost felt like the first couple episodes just weren't really hitting home with you. And it goes to tell you the strength of a story that really makes you feel like, for people who like myself, and I'd say Spider Brando as well, who were just incredibly excited for this series all throughout. And then Lou being someone who wasn't as excited throughout it, but then at the end we're like, wow, this is one of the best things we've seen. It just goes to tell you how great this was.
I think it was after before the second last episode, season 5, we went through, and I know we were talking about it beforehand, and I wrote down a quote before that, and it kind of like clicked for me, where you really, because I personally was on the fence of like, what is Loki's end game with this? Does he go back and revert to the Loki from 2012, the Avengers Loki, and he just throws everything, he has his Vegeta moment, and he's just going back and I'm going to be a dog kind of thing. But you had selflessness versus the pursuit of your own selfish desires. And when I felt that, and I went back and did a full rewatch, I was like, man, I was sleeping on this hard through the first month of this. You guys were telling me, I was like, I don't know. What if it goes, I think Secret Invasion left a little sour taste in my mouth a little bit. But the fact that you have Loki at the end of this essentially push aside everything that he wanted most. Just the character of Loki, going all the way back to the first appearance. He had it. He had it right there. Everything that Loki has wanted was in his reach. And he had a massive hero moment that I think just took plenty, myself included, by pure surprise of like, what's the catch? And he's like, there is no catch. I'm just going to muscle the entire multiverse and hold it together and just take my glorious spot on my throne and make sure that I am giving life to everyone else because they deserve to live. And I don't know who it is. Like it's just the definition of, I cannot think of another selfless moment in character like what we saw in this Loki season finale on this scale. Knowing who this character is, I don't know. I think I have to dip into the anime pool, to be honest with you.
And this is one of those episodes that I think for some people, when you don't watch it more than once or you don't think about it, it's gonna be fantastic, right? But the more you think about this episode, the more things like really click and really start to make sense, and things that you just appreciate more. Like one of the big things that I thought about on a rewatch is that it's a very quick thing, but they talk about how, Obi, he goes to Obi and he's like, hey, how long is it going to take for me to know every single thing about engineering that you know? And he's like, centuries. And then they're just like, centuries later. And they play it kind of as like a funny little gag thing. But if you really think about that, he spent centuries with these people. Yes, he would end up reverting time and, going back, but he spent centuries with them. And it really just hits home the weight of the decision that he made of going and leaving them, and being alone.
I liked how there's one scene that I pointed out. You could tell how they portrayed like his like time travel throughout the centuries very well just by Tom Hiddleston's face.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell at certain points where that dude looked like he was running off of 2 hours of sleep and like 600 milligrams of caffeine post gym, post freaking workout, just tired as hell. And I'm like, damn, he's doing everything he can to try to get people something that he tried to take away from them. And I love with the free will aspect.
I mean, I think that's one of the simplest but most difficult things to make people feel about is free will and choice. And I think Sylvie really took that angle and was kind of, we talked about it last time, that angel and devil on the shoulder kind of thing, where he had some options and he was getting counsel from Kang. He who remains like, hey, here are your choices. You have option 1, you have option 2. You have Sylvie, who he used for counsel. He used Obi for counsel. In a way, he used Timely as counsel. And then obviously Mobius, where he sought him out and he's like, I need your advice. Like this, when you go back and watch this, you realize just how difficult of a decision this is for him to make, because he left people that he really cared for. And I think
his friends.
Yeah. And I think Sylvie kind of put that out there of like, hey, I'm a variant of you, but I'm an option, right? I know that you feel this and I just want to live my life. Like, don't drag me back into this stuff. I just want to live. And that's something that Loki shares too. Like, I want to live, but I want to live with you guys. That's why he fought so hard to figure this out.
It was, without a doubt, the hardest question that the MCU has ever made you ask. Because in a way, there is no wrong answer, right? Because you think about what Mobius tells him, because I think that conversation is the two contrasting conversations are what He Who Remains and Mobius tells Loki, and what Sylvie tells Loki, where it's the free will, like you said, aspect of it. But then what He Who Remains and Mobius are telling him are, sure, they will have free will, but you have to look at the bigger picture.
Right.
Sure, you are killing one person and it's going to be sad and difficult, but think of all the deaths that are going to occur because of what you don't do. That's what you have to look at everything else. And Sylvie's like, yeah, we might, but let me. That's my choice. And both are right. Both are right. And that's what makes that's what makes this decision the absolute hardest, without a doubt.
And it's a pure hero moment, right? And I don't want to compare this again because I know we're talking about Loki, but we just had a similar scenario in a different way. And by no means am I saying this is a copycat. It's not. But when you look at Across the Spider-Verse and you have two sides of the coin, you have 2099. And if you look back at Across the Spider-Verse, you have Peter B. You have mentors and Miles is getting counsel. And they're just like, hey, we're Spider-Man. This is just what we do. Like, you can't save everyone. You have to make the difficult decision. He's like, no, I'm going to choose everyone. I'm going to do my own thing. Loki literally said that. And he's like, I'm going to do my own thing. No one told me that this is option C. I created option C. And I'm just going to grasp it and take hold of it. And the hardest part too, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong here, Ro didn't sacrifice himself and he's dead. He's awake. He's conscious. He's always going to be thinking about, what if I could have, if this. he made his decision and he has to continuously live with that decision. Maybe ultimately he does die or his life force or something. I don't think so, because how else are they going to continue to get life? But it's not like he can just, that's where the difficulty comes in. I am Iron Man, snaps, he's dead, and he doesn't have to deal with anything anymore. Loki, I'm scooping up the multiverse and I have to continuously hold it together. I can't give up.
Hold it, and from the understanding at the end that he's able to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to see the consequence of his action and really only be alone with his thoughts and think about, like you said, what if, what if I did it differently? And seeing it's a very real life thing. You have friends and you love them and you want for your friends to have other friends, but it hurts in a way when they don't hang out with you. And you find out through Instagram and social media and you're like, dang, they really didn't invite me to that. That sucks.
Yep. And they're like,
that's
but you couldn't come.
Loki. Yeah.
It's like,
but you told us you were at work, and it's like, yeah, but I still wanted an invite.
Yeah,
that's Loki just forever.
Just never can reach his phone. Hey, you up? Like, oh, I'm always up. Never get to go to sleep.
Never.
Just, listen,
I start seeing, this is so off topic, but I think he get mad if he sees Sylvie like with some other dude or some other
with Mobius. Mobius is just like, hey, yeah, what's going on? Yeah, Sylvie, yeah.
On a jet ski together.
Yeah.
Oh, eating McDonald's.
It's like meet me at the pier at 5. She's like, I'll bring the McDonald's. He's like, good, we'll use my 2 jet skis in the garage.
Yeah. They're eating a Big Mac as they just hit a wave.
Like, do you think Loki would like this? And she's like, yeah, I think he would. Just one tear is just running down his face, and he cuts it. Just one.
He just purges their timeline from existence.
Yeah, right? He like lets go of the timeline just like a little bit.
Freaking how he lets go of the timeline, a tsunami comes out of nowhere.
I was gonna say the Big Mac starts to like spaghettify a little bit, like he goes to bite it, and there's. Oh, dude.
Oh,
they can do it.
I would love that.
That point.
Yeah, I was gonna. Okay, go ahead. I
was gonna say to that point, Loki's now one of the strongest, right? One of the strongest beings in the entire multiverse now.
Take that, Thor.
I was about to say Thor is not even in.
Are you guys okay that he ended his part 2 arc without interacting with Thor? There's no Valhalla, there's no Thor, no Heimdall, no Odin. Oh, well, maybe somehow. But they don't know. They never knew he went through this. That's the other kind of kicker too. Like, how many times did he want his family to see him, like, be proud of him, that he is something, that he's worthy of all this stuff? He did something that you think Asgard wouldn't have his face on every building after this? They'll never know. Like, selfless. He didn't seek that. He never wanted to tell Thor and be like, I did a good job. Look at what I did. Never came up. No mention.
I think that emphasizes his character development even more.
I agree.
I'm happy. I mean, I wanted him to see Thor again as he was like going back and time slipping, just because it would be cool as like a fan. But realistically, that Loki's relationship is much different, and he knows that eventually him and Thor make up or whatnot. So I understand why he didn't go back there. I still would have liked to see it as a fan, obviously, but I don't think it really ruins his development or whatnot.
Yeah, and I think that's something to remind. I know we talked about this off screen. This Loki is a different Loki. This isn't the same Loki. This Loki never went through the events of Ragnarok, never had the Infinity War moment. That's different. And although we did see that Loki begin to have that character change in Ragnarok and ultimately start the shift, yes, he saw the events of what happens when he, in season 1. But this specific Loki is special and definitely feels like, that outside Nexus event type of, he's a one of one, which he's meant to be. That being said, on the flip side, He Who Remains. Did he know that this is a one of one and it was meant to be? What do you guys think?
He Who Remains is a manipulator, is an opportunist. I am very much of the thought that everything he's doing is purposeful. And he needs certain people to get to certain places and to achieve certain things. And Loki was one of them. Because it is very interesting over the fact that, yeah, he could have stopped Sylvie anytime. He probably could have killed both of them without a thought. Yet chose not to. And the only time he ever does anything, is when Loki tells him, why don't you do anything? And then he stops. Like he was waiting for something. I think that needs to tell you what it needs to tell you there. We're going to get more of him. Don't be surprised.
Spider Brando, what would be next for a He Who Remains, or what are your thoughts on that?
He's still plotting. It's gotta be still plotting. There's no way that He Who Remains that we saw just take that stab by Sylvie was just gonna let that happen, and knowing that Loki would take over the multiverse tree, or just pretty much be the new sacred timeline or multiverse protector. Ain't no way he knew that was gonna happen. Him be okay with him just letting all the Kang variants that he's so worried about just be dealt with a Loki when he could barely trust himself to deal with them, and hid it away in said timeline. I mean, he could have. There's always the theory where it's just knowing that we still have the Kang Dynasty to come and Secret Wars, like timeline wise, it doesn't make sense for that to be it with He Who Remains. He had to have known and needed, like Hero said, the piece of the puzzle to be put into place to take over. So why else would he make a failsafe in the TVA for like a temporal loom fixture? And pretty much like, why would that be the failsafe to reboot everything and stuff?
Yeah, it feels very intentional in the way that Sylvie and Mobius kind of left it, and that subtle hint that they gave about the other variants that are out there, and just it kind of still feels inevitable that this massive war is coming, and that He Who Remains wants it to be so for some reason. You also have that feel of, I know it's something that we mentioned last episode, I believe, but things might not be exactly as they seem from the standpoint of who were they talking about at the end of the Quantum Mania post-credit scene. When they cross the threshold at the end of season 1 and he's like, see you soon, everyone's just like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And he was like, guy popped up in the final episode, here he is multiple times. It just almost feels too easy. You're playing that game and you're just like, that should have been a lot harder than it was. And I feel that the Scott Lang thing is good. I think people wrote that off and it was just like, this is stupid. Well, he's like, I got rid of him, didn't I? Like, where's that question mark of just like, you don't see the body. Is he really dead? Kind of thing. I feel like that's really them telling us, like, hey, you should probably stick to that when it comes to the MCU because Kang's got a plan. And we'll see where that goes. I don't know about you guys, but taking a step back from the entire like massive MCU and just pulling it back in, what was your guys' favorite moment of the series outside of, you know, the old multiversal walk at the end?
The conversation, man. That got me hype. I'd say that's like right behind it. Well, again, you saw if you were there on our Discord, and if you're not, you need to join. But our chat blew up. Chat blew up when He Who Remains stops time and starts talking to Loki. It just, and it isn't just the fact that it's that they're having this conversation. It's also more so as a fan of Loki. Season 1 was so great. It invoked a lot of awesome feelings, and for them to go back and revisit that and keep playing with that just goes to show you that they're fans of that, and they know what people wanted from this, and they gave that to you.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
Very well said.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Mobius on the jet ski. Favorite moment. That's all I needed. If I can't choose Peck Deck, Chest Fly, Loki, I'm choosing the Mobius jet ski as meme pick. But my actual favorite is probably when Loki learned how to time slip and with Sylvie and all the spaghetti was like flowing around him. Just because I thought that's such a cool way to go about like the illusion or the like being able to control the flow of time with those like visual effects that they did. It stood out to me a lot.
That's
that moment was like that was a key to opening the rest of this door.
Mine has it's similar elements to that. Mine is when he goes back and has counsel with Sylvie when he's trying to determine like what to do next. Like I've tried everything, and he goes back to that point where she's about like everyone in Obi's kind of room there starts to get spaghettified, and he asks her the questions, right? And they have that free will conversation stuff. Like it really just doubled down on the whole thing of like him loving Sylvie and wanting to not lose Sylvie, and he knows that she's going to give him the ultimate, answer, right? Where that's like his last final thing. Almost he was reluctant to have that conversation and to ask and to just be like, I really wanted to come up with a solution before I got to this point. But I think I know what I have to do. And then after the conversation, he's like, I know what I have to do. And Tom Hiddleston in that moment, the guy is just, I hope he wins so many awards for this show. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I hope he does. Because there are moments where his facial expressions and just like the way that he showcases these light bulb moments or these thought processes that he has going on, just his body language, his facial expression, the way that he'll tilt his head and look up at his eyes and all that kind of stuff, like it's just so good. And everything I just think just culminated in that moment for me before he finally made his ultimate decision to show up and just take that walk, right? That was like the final nail for me where I was like, dang, like I felt this show like in here. And I was like, yeah, all right, here we go. Like solidified. Like you give me top 5 feelings right now. So gosh, kudos, bravo to the entire team and cast and crew and everyone who's a part of this. This is just, if an alien were to come down right now and they're just like, show me a good show, I'd just be like, how much time do you have? Sit on the couch. Let's watch Loki.
Yeah, 1 and 2. Season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
It's so neat that they go hand in hand, though, where it doesn't feel so disconnected, where it feels like just a one seamless flow. Like, you can binge this all in like 2 days and have your mind blown when they go back to episode 6 and he goes back to episode 1. And man, this show, there's a question up on screen. Is it the best MCU show? I think we know the answer, right?
100%. Let's get the most episodes, but it's definitely overall we've never seen. I don't think in any other MCU show so far. Granted, none of them have second seasons. We haven't seen a character go on this type of journey that Loki has gone on. But he's also the most veteran character in the MCU as well. So it's hard to get a lot going for him to make the show feel so great and impactful.
The cast of characters are a special cast. I don't know if every show, just because you give them a second season, like if WandaVision got a second season, I don't know if I'm talking about it or we're talking about the same way that Loki season 2 gets. For as much as I think that that's probably the next closest overall competition in terms of stakes and feel and characters and purpose and all those types of things. Like Wanda had some powerful stuff associated with her in that series. But Tom Hiddleston, that's your ace. You know what I mean? That's your wild card. That's your one-off. He's a 1-for-1. I don't know many people. I will say this. The only person I think in the next 10 years that we can say who may give us a feel the way that we feel now is Iman Vellani Kamala Khan. Only person I think who can, in her own different way, deliver such an emotional experience across episodes or 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it might be. The only other person I can see right now that's on a trajectory or path to where, if you watch the Marvels, she affected that cast in a way that they've never been affected before. We thought it may happen, and she stood at the core of that movie like only we have seen Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., and I think Tom Hiddleston off the top of my head. Those are probably the core 3 right now. You could argue Chris Hemsworth in a way. Love and Thunder kind of nerfed that a little bit for me. But the only characters who can really deliver a performance where you're like, oh my gosh, like you are this character is you. No one else can make me feel the way that you did.
It's the love they have for the character. It goes beyond the screen and everything. And like Iman Vellani's goes tech even into comics where she gets to write her own character, which is freaking awesome. But tying it back to Loki, Tom Hiddleston clearly loves this character and pours his heart and soul into it, very much so. And the fact that the show writers love the character, the directors love the character, the cast love the character. I mean, like the bromance between Mobius and Loki, I think goes beyond screen. You know, everything. It doesn't stay there. You look at like OB's actor. I'm sorry, I can't say his name because I would butcher it so bad.
Yeah,
but you look at how he posts on Instagram and about it, especially after the strikes have ended, and how he's now starting to post. Just the joy that he exudes being able to work with everybody. And he knows that it's because of that character. It just makes it so much better.
This is why when people say we want superheroes, we want capes, we want costumes and masks and all these things, Marvel excels at character first.
Mm-hmm.
And in live action, when you get the right people bought into these characters, it's unrivaled. It really is, in my opinion. It's tough to recreate what they can do with these characters because of the time spent, the love for their craft, and just it's an amazing group of people on this project. So hands down, we'll talk about it sooner rather than later. But where this falls in our overall rankings, expect it to be very high. Very, very high.
Absolutely. It's funny because IGN is definitely punching the air right now. For those that don't know, IGN, when Loki was about to premiere, they dropped their, I think it was 4-episode review. And they gave it a 5, and they were like, yeah, it's just not fun. And the feeling of anything can happen is gone. And I'm curious to see. I would really love to know who wrote that article and see how big of an MCU fan they are, because I feel like they're not. And not because I'm just trying to hate on IGN. No, I just think that whoever saw Loki didn't watch the first season or binged it in like 5 minutes and then saw nothing else of the MCU and said, yeah, I'm confident in this. Because I think that's the only way you get that out of this series. If obviously there are going to be people who don't enjoy it, and we know some. I just don't understand how you take all these things that we've talked about and still not find some sort of joy in this show.
No, if you go back to our Loki season 2 preview, we talked about kind of our expectations for what this show was. And one of the big things I think was this show at the time, right? The Marvels wasn't out, obviously. Everyone's kind of looking for that next project to kind of revitalize and enrich the MCU and further the storyline and give us something that we can really chew on to be like, hey, this is what this saga is really about. It takes a really special show for people to forget about all that and just to stay present with what we just saw and just sit in it for the last 4 days.
Yeah.
And just continue. I don't know the last MCU project that I have seen posted about in a way that this is being posted about over and over and over and over again. And more interviews are starting to come out. And man, the strike ended at a really good time. I'm glad that it did. I'm glad everyone got what they needed. But like Tom Hiddleston going on Jimmy Fallon was just so. Go on social media and look up how many views those videos have and the snippets and the clips and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, guess what? We're not really fatigued because something comes out that's wild, that exceeds everyone's expectation, and everyone's drooling over it for hours and hours and days and days and days and days. And we're just like, oh, I wish we had more. So, ha. Ha ha ha.
Suck it, Variety.
We're keeping that in there.
That's fine.
I don't know. I have one final thought, but if you guys have something else, feel free. But I have one final question after.
Hit it.
Rank Loki. Just Loki. Everything from Loki from 2011 all the way until now. Just call it Loki. Merge them. Where is he falling in terms of your favorite MCU character? All Lokis included.
Top 5. Top 5. It ain't 5. It
so
ain't
top. So top 4.
4. I'm going 3.
Top 3. Who's your others?
Iron Man. That's probably 1. And 2. Just because of my bias. No, I can't say.
I thought you were going to say Wanda.
No, I was gonna say Tom Spidey is.
I was going to say Spidey.
That's a good one though. That's a good one though. That's a good one. You could argue that. You could argue he's top 3. No Way Home lets you argue that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I think Loki's in my top 2, and Tom MCU Spidey's at 4. 3's Cap. I think that's my no bias aside. It's just raw dog feelings.
It's not raw dog.
It's getting late on the point there.
Right? It is. Top 3. Top 3. I don't know what order. Don't ask me what order. but top
Dude,
three.
that was, I don't know why I gave my order that came out. It just felt like I had to.
I say top three, and ironically, my battle between for second, Iron Man's 1, easy. 2, I have Loki and Thor.
Ooh.
Thor has been
meant
through
to
a
be.
lot. Loki and Thor, which is perfect.
It's a
That
good,
is glorious
good
for
power
number 2.
trio.
Oh yeah, Cap is there. Don't get me wrong. I like Cap.
Speaking of Cap, I rewatched Cap 1 on Saturday.
Why?
Dude, that movie's good. I need to
is.
have.
We're redoing our
I need to
rankings
have-
now. Dang
yeah,
it.
I'm comfortable keeping it where I put it.
Alright.
But
All right.
I don't know. It's like a nice, fun movie to watch again. I forgot how I haven't watched it in a while.
I missed the old MCU.
Enjoyed it.
Do we though? Do we?
Listen, someone posted, I think it was Rotten Tomatoes, and they had like I think they were critic ratings on there, and everyone's like, oh man, the new stuff is blah 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 blah. Oh, you go look at the old stuff, and there's like a run of like 5 movies that are just pure stinkers.
Mhm.
And then you look at the new ones, and it's like 80, 90, 90, 80, la 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 la. I still don't know what it's gonna take for people to just accept the MCU projects now as it is, but somehow people are just like, well, Loki doesn't count for the new stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean?
No,
What
how
are
does
you
that not count?
talking?
Yeah.
Dude, people find anyway,
You
well,
are
he's
so
been around for a
selective.
long time, so he doesn't count.
This makes no sense. Guardians.
They're so
Doesn't count.
selective. They're like, oh, everything post Endgame is trash, except for like
Except for
all
Loki
these
and
blah, blah, blah,
Guardians.
blah,
and-
blah, blah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I just say most of it is good, and there's like a couple misses. Secret Invasion. But
What a turn. What a turn.
We'll talk about that when we talk about the Marvels.
yeah,
When are we talking about Marvel?
Wednesday on the
Wednesday.
live stream.
Live stream Wednesdays. Love it. Be there. Obviously,
Be
this
square.
isn't live. Yeah, I thought this was live, and you're saying that, and I was just like, wait a second. Yep, nope, it's not. It's recorded. It's up. Guess what? Join us on Wednesday live stream. Let's talk about the Marvels. If you saw it once, twice, 3 times, or not at all, still join. Drop your thoughts if you haven't seen it. We'll educate you and tell you why you should have and what you missed out on. And if you did see it, come hype with us, because what did we say? What are our 2 words to describe the movie?
Further,
Marvel?
faster, I think was mine.
Further, faster. Yes.
I forgot mine.
Oh, dude drops the ball. I'm not editing. Like, no one's editing that out. That's forever going to be in the ether of the internet.
No,
Unbelievable.
It just means you got to follow us on social media.
Yeah, it's on there. You can check. Drop it. You got to @tag Spider Brando.
Yeah. As he still is.
Yeah, maybe.
dude, I'm so I completely you guys all this Loki talk threw me on threw me off course today.
Last thought on Loki. First off, if you made it this far, we appreciate you. You should subscribe to our YouTube, because we do this every single week to get you everything that we can revolving around the world of superheroes and pop culture. Spider Brando says,
It was marvelously packed. Those are my 2
marvelously
words.
packed. Find out why Spider Brando thinks the Marvels was marvelously packed. And go ahead and let us know where you have Loki ranked as your all-time MCU character, from beginning of life to end, if that's what it is. Big old question mark on the interviews that are coming out. Who knows where we're going to see Loki next? But everyone, we appreciate you joining us here at the Point 3 podcast at Brando's Funkos 27 on social media. I'm amazing. At Hero Scroll, at Funko Lou. Check us out. Listen, we just have a good time. We just have a good time. And maybe we'll feature your thoughts on our next episode. Only way you're going to find out is to come back here and watch the next episode. We will @ you. But again, with that, everyone, keep watching all this good stuff. Keep reading all the good stuff. And keep nerding out. We will see you in the next one.